Um, Thank you guys for everybody who's joining us tonight. This is the second to the last a conversation in our series where we're talking about my film entitled A Story About You. And we're diving into some relationship topics and just kind of getting different perspectives. Tonight's topic is going to be on unrequited love and why sometimes that could actually be the most inspiring and some of the best kind of love that there is,
Mm,
and challenging some of these notions of like if it's not forever then it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes I think, in my opinion, if it's not forever it could probably mean the most. And so we'll dive into that tonight, and I think my main thing tonight is just, keeping an open mind and challenging some of the preconceived notions that we have with like a lot of different things. So, Keith, do you want to introduce yourself?
yeah, absolutely. My name is Keith Manley. I'm a artist, artist based in Los Angeles. I do a lot of content creation. I do a bunch of different things, a lot of experiential activation, things like that. So, yeah, I'm just here as a fan, a moderator, and just I guess maybe sometimes a contrast in opinion in a lot of ways. So,
Good contrast.
yeah.
And Chris, tell us about yourself.
So my name is Chris Cornish, and I'm a talent manager. So I've been managing musicians, actors, and anybody with any known talents for the last couple years. And I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm in West Hollywood, and I always have an opinion.
Mm,
Be it right or wrong. Sometimes I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I'm always open for conversation. So.
yeah. And you kind of have to, I think, especially like with creatives, more than anything, the most valuable people in a creative circle is somebody that's going to tell them the truth,
Mm.
and somebody that's going to be able to see the truth, and help guide them in the best direction, and so I'm so excited to hear what you have to say tonight. My first question is kind of going to be like to the both of you. Why do you think people hold on to love that isn't returned?
That's a good one.
Would you like to go first?
Chris, I feel like, they've been hearing enough of me for a while. I think maybe you should
Okay.
kick it off.
Okay. Gladly. I think we hold on even when we're not receiving the love that we know we deserve. We hold on longer than we should for a number of reasons. I think part of it is ego. Um, I know that sometimes you just don't want to believe that they don't want you the way you think they should, or you
Mm,
think that maybe you can change them, or you think that maybe if you love them a little bit more that it'll be reciprocated. And I think a lot of times we fall short of glory by doing that because you shouldn't have to force it. But
mhm,
we just, we want to believe in the best of in people, and a lot of times it can lead us in a really bad direction. Um, I think for me personally, being in situations where I felt like I was doing a lot of the lifting, a lot of times it came down to the fact that they just weren't equipped to give back the love. And as much as I wanted to hold them accountable, they just weren't, I knew they weren't equipped. And
mm,
it was unfair for me to put them in a position where I was trying to get them to match. It's like telling somebody, like, we're going to go run 2 miles and they've never gone running before. And you're mad that they can't complete the 2 miles. Like, they
Right.
just
mm.
weren't equipped for it. So that's been my personal experience. And I think I've learned to be more understanding instead of looking at it as taking it personal, just knowing that some people aren't equipped to, to show up or, step up to the plate, so to speak. So,
So when you say, and I love that you use the a working out analogy, because it makes me think of, how some people are skinny fat, like they look
hmm
like they're in shape,
but
but
they're not.
then they're not at all, or they have muscles but they're smokers, and the cause. for a second?
Yeah, it was an alert, an
Okay.
I thought I was the only one. I'm like, why would this happen right now?
amber alert. Yeah.
Um, so saying that to say, or they're smokers and they just can't keep up. Um, how do you know when someone's not equipped? Like, how, it's because you said in this situation that you could tell at a certain point. How were you able to tell? And once you were able to tell, what made you want to continue, even though you kind of realized that they weren't equipped?
I mean, I think I started looking at the pattern from past relationships, and I was like, oh, this person isn't may not be, equally yoked or equipped to kind of go down the path I'm trying to go.
Hmm.
And I did try to continue, but then I think we reached a point where we couldn't. There was no more that I could do, and I had to cut all ties to protect myself. And that was probably the most mature thing that I could have done for both of us, because I was forcing somebody to try to, rise to the occasion, and they just weren't equipped. So it was going to build a lot of animosity on their end, and it would have been forced on my end. So I think for me, that's kind of when I reached the point where I realized, oh, this person hasn't done the work, and I can't do the work for them. And it was hard, but once I learned that, I could give myself a bit of closure and kind of walk away from the situation. So
What does doing the work look like for you?
I want somebody. I don't need anybody to be perfect. We're all flawed, and I think that there's a lot to be said about somebody that's been through a lot and is self-aware. Like, look, I'm not all the way there. I'm a work in progress, but I'm doing these things to kind of improve, and I'm open to have open, discussion and everything to really kind of help move in the right direction. I've experienced an avoidant for the first time in my life, and I was completely shocked. I said, "What is this?" And then I went down the hole of researching it, and I said, "Oh no, this is a thing." And I was like,
Yeah.
and it kind of like it flipped my world upside down, because the whole time I was angry, and I realized that it was a lot deeper than just not being emotionally equipped. It
Yeah.
really came down to like childhood trauma
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
these things that played
Right.
a part. So I learned to be more compassionate in the situation, but I still had to protect myself, and I had to get out of Dodge. So
Yeah. That is a big thing. Meeting an avoidant. So, okay, were they aware that they were an avoidant?
no, I don't think they were ever challenged to that
Mm,
point where it was just always like it's the other person's fault. And then when you realize that there's nobody else to blame and you have to sit with it, I think that, I wasn't gonna tell them what they were, but I realized what it was, and
oh,
I just had to get away, because that person was, they had a certain story in their mind, and they were holding on to that story. And until they were ready to break it, I couldn't be the one to, explain it to them. So learning that, you want the best for somebody, but until they're ready to change, you can't do anything about it. So
Fact.
Keith, what do you think? Why do you think people hold on to love that isn't being returned?
Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with what Chris said. I think a big part of it, the first thing he mentioned was ego. I think that a lot of it is ego centered for sure. Another layer of that is I think that most people aren't able to love anyone, you know, if they're still learning how to love themselves in a lot of ways. A lot of us are still learning how to love ourselves. So you can't be capable of loving anyone else.
Mm,
More than you love yourself. And so I think a lot of us, as we get into adulthood, are still trying to figure out how to support ourselves the best way. And then we're like also learning how to navigate through relationships. So um, relationships can also make you question how much love you have for yourself. I guess it's like a mirror, like your relationships with other people are like very much like a mirror to that. And so it's just this constant struggle with like who I am and how do I really feel about myself versus the ego, which is like the opposite of I wouldn't say opposite of love, but it's like bravado that you put on, this mask that you put on to like make yourself feel like you're not, um you can't be hurt, and you're like kind of like invincible. So
Mm,
um yeah, I think it's just a difficult thing to navigate a lot of times. And also people just love a challenge too. That's another thing. People want to feel like they are working for it, and it kind of like makes you feel satisfied to know that like somebody isn't handing over the keys to like themselves that easily, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. But love shouldn't hurt straight out the gate, though. That's
Nah,
Yeah.
no, mm-mm.
Yeah.
That's not love. That's not love.
Not at all.
So
And it's interesting because you also like when you think about like friendships, we don't kind of go through these hoops. It's like, hey, I think you're really cool. Oh, I like your scarf. Like,
yeah.
I became best friends with someone for years, and how we met was like, oh my God, I love your scarf. It's so pretty. And then it was like, dee, 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 dee. And then it's like, that's my fun friend. It's like, this is like greenhouse days. And so we were there every Tuesdays and Thursday. And it was like the best time. And it wasn't so complicated. I don't know. I'm curious to understand why when it comes, and I guess in cis hetero relationships, why does it feel like it's automatically like a challenge instead of like oh, let's just be friends, or like let's get to know each other because I think there's something about you that's really cool. Um I
it's
guess
I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't
oh
know if
please.
I just had something for that. It's like I think we hold our like our partners that we're like in a relationship with, like an intimate relationship with. I think we hold them to a much higher standard than our friends a lot of times.
Mm. Is that what
Um
it is?
yeah, we think we hand over a lot of our baggage and stuff to them and expect them to carry it. Because like, obviously you're looking for that when you're looking for your partner. You're looking for somebody that you can just let your whole guard down with. And I don't think we really hold our friends to that same standard because you can go like you have friends for whatever. Like you have some friends that you're able to like go out with and turn up and enjoy like nightlife or whatever with. And you have friends that you can like kick it with inside. But like with your intimate partner, a lot of times you're looking for them to be like the all around person that is just there to do everything with you. And so I do think it can be sometimes unfair to ask of that, like from your intimate partner. Sometimes it can seem like a lot.
But I feel like it's so interesting because you want the everything in an intimate partner, but then
Hmm.
the opposite tends to happen. You end up, well, maybe I should just speak for myself. Like, I can tell my best friend anything. I can tell my friends more things because I'm not expecting so much from them, if that
Right,
makes sense.
right.
Versus like the person that I am expecting so much from, obviously I'm afraid to be disappointed by, so I don't necessarily ask, or I don't necessarily divulge all the things that my ears are getting hot as I'm piecing this together. um, yeah, so maybe that is a me thing. I have a tendency to also be like the things that I do, everybody does, and so there's also that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I think
moving
I
on.
think we all fall victim to that to a certain extent
Mhm.
because we love how we want to be loved.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so a lot of times, like if your love language is words of affirmation, you're gonna be super, hey, you can do this, I love you, you're great, you're amazing. And when you don't get that back, you're like, wait a minute. So one thing I've learned is to look at how people love me because it shows me a bit of how they're expecting me to love them. It may not be my thing. I may not be words of affirmation. I might be physical touch, but I try to throw in some words of affirmation because I know that's what they're looking for. They may like physical touch, but the words of affirmation is really what they're showing up for because they're showing you through their process and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
People
Right.
don't know it. They just subconsciously they're gonna show you how they want to be loved if you pay attention. And we all miss the signs. I'm guilty of it. I'm la 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 la. not
Yeah.
paying attention and like,
Right.
oh, she didn't want my friends to come out on a date with us. Oh, we was just all out, and not thinking that it was something special for her, but you indirectly do foolishness when you're not thinking or paying attention. So I try to slow down a bit and just be more like present and pay attention. So,
Yeah. That's so true because we're all like, at least for us, like living in a big city, whether it be like LA or New York, there's always something happening. You're always on the go. So you don't really like there's just it's so much, you
Hmm.
know?
it is.
So to stop and like be present and pay attention is just such a key. Um
Denise, I
yeah.
have a question for you. Do you feel like you ever felt like that kind of love was like almost like the one that you're kind of like, I guess the person is still like you're kind of trying to get them to love you as much as you love them or show you that same kind of support. Do you ever feel like that is better? Like,
Yeah.
has there ever been a situation where you felt like that was more powerful than it being mutual?
100%. I wrote a whole film about it.
Oh,
And I
hey,
think
look,
I
that's
think
real.
the thing really for me is and the concept, the original concept that I when I was first writing a story about you, it was called something completely different. It was called Love in Our Time. And the idea was actually for it to be like a stage play. And I was actually thinking of playing all of the characters, but like doing like quick costume changes and like going in and being each character. And the idea of that was to show that like one woman is every woman. Like we're all kind of one and the same. And in the I guess metaphysical like this is a difficult concept for me to describe, but it's like okay, if you love someone, they kind of become a part of you, I think,
Right.
physically, like in your DNA. I think they're stored somewhere. And that I think is a really beautiful thing. And what's the difference if that person is still with you like in a very visceral way, even if you stop seeing them in December, but they're still with you in June? Like what's the big difference? Like there's something that's about that person that's still with you that influences your behavior. It influences your thoughts and how you think and why you think the things that you think.
Right.
um and so with that being said, it's like, okay, well, what is cheating even, like we're
Right.
so up in arms, like, I don't want you to see Stacy while you're seeing me, but like he's still thinking about Stacy. Stacy is still kind of with him the same way you're probably thinking about Mike. It's,
Yeah.
it's a thing that I feel like we don't really touch on enough because everything feels like it has to be such a binary, like,
Mm.
either you love me and you love no one else at all, and it's like, you
It's so
know
final. It's like you're with
it's
me,
so final.
and no, you can't look at any woman in the streets, even though your eyes were meant to look. You
Yeah.
can't. That's what my mom would always say. I thought it was the funniest saying as a kid. She would like, "God gave you eyes so you could look," and I'd be like, "Oh, all right. Well, if mom said it's good, then it's all good."
Yeah.
But
True.
and my girlfriends didn't think the same. Um, they would be like, "You looking around a bit." I'm like, "It's people all over." Like I need to be like locked in on you and only you. Like I'm with you. We're
Right.
holding hands. We're getting in
Yeah.
the same car. We're going to the same. Like there's nothing wrong. Like and you should be free to look around and whatever. Like we should be able to key and we see a girl walking by, be like she kind of cute, ain't she? Like yeah. Like
Yeah.
in the most ideal sense, without it becoming an issue or turning into a fight. But it's not the case. So.
Yeah. I mean, we
Absolutely not.
touched on this a little bit last conversation because it seems
Hmm.
like, I don't know, when a girl likes someone, and again, maybe I'm speaking for all girls, but maybe I also speak for myself. It just feels like it's easy to get locked in. It's just like, I'm not looking at so and so because I like you. There's kind of no point, versus like a guy could be like, ooh, I like her and I like her too. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then but I think the crux of the issue is like, why treat that as a threat instantly? Like it doesn't necessarily, it could be that he likes her, but does it mean like the detriment to your possibility or your future? It's just something to constantly, and it's something that I think we have to constantly check in with ourselves about. Um, because what we're trying to do ultimately when we say like, oh, you can't do that, is like to control a person's mind. And
Yep,
that's insane.
It
Like you
is.
can never control what's going on in somebody's mind. What you can control is whether or not they're just going to tell you about it.
that's true.
And that's really, that to me seems like more dangerous
Their
than
mind and their
not
nature.
just doing it. Huh? Say that
So
again?
their mind and their nature. So,
Their
like Chris was
nature.
saying, like you you're walking around and you're obviously like we have eyes to look. So it's like not to not do it would also mean to like kind of go against what is natural to you, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's both of those, mind and nature, I imagine,
I can appreciate a woman and not want to take her home.
for sure.
You know, I can, you can appreciate everybody. I'm sure a woman can appreciate a man and be like, it's a good looking man. And
Yep.
then going by her business. So, like, I think being so restrictive, it causes a lot of stress because everybody is trying to be like perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And I indirectly sometimes don't even know it. I'll be walking and I can't help but turn around and look back and I'll be like, why did I do that? I mean, I know why I did it, but like
That's your nature.
it's just
Exactly.
it's just happens like it's on autopilot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm you know, and I'm not doesn't mean I'm actively chasing down every woman I see, but
Right.
I can appreciate a woman. I can't control what my physical sometimes will do. I can try to have some self-awareness, you know, and not be disrespectful, but I've been caught off guard sometimes, and I just
Yeah.
don't want to be penalized for it every single time. Like, look, I'm
Yeah.
still with you. I'm not doing anything overtly disrespectful. So,
Yeah.
Right.
So what are you guys' feelings on if like the girl does that? Like has that come up for you ever? Like if a girl is ever like, "Oh, he's hot," or like, "Oh," or they're getting like a little too chummy with their coworker, like how do you handle that? If it's across the board supposed to be like okay.
I
Is
mean,
that across? Is that how it? Is that how you were before we were like? Is that how you were already before we were in a
Yeah.
relationship, or is it something you're doing because of
Yeah.
how what we were doing? You know,
Oh, yeah,
is it a
no, if that's
reaction or
just
is it
how
just
she
a?
is. That's a
Got you.
great question. Yeah, if that's just how she is. Like I
you
feel
sign up
like
for
you
it.
sign up for it and then
Right.
you accept it.
You have to. It's like
Have to.
no offense, I've known guys that have dated women that worked in the nightlife and that's what they did. Like they knew
Right.
all the guys, all the NBA players, all the recording artists, and they were very flirtatious because it was kind of part of the job.
Right.
Right.
And the guy get mad and I'll be like, well, you signed up for the wrong class, my boy. Like you knew you that's why you liked her. So
Yep.
you can't tell her to stop being who she is. And then I've seen women like change for their relationship and completely like torpedo everything in their personal
Mm,
life and it ultimately spilled the end. So it's you have to know what you're getting into. You know, if you want a good girl,
100%.
find that girl that don't go out and she don't go to the club. But
but
if
can a good girl be outside too?
yeah, yeah,
Of course.
absolutely. But like, there's some girls that make a like their life is based around being out. Like, if you met her at Drake's house, like, don't be surprised if she's like, on a boat with Future. Like,
For
it's
sure.
just you just gotta know the lay of the land. And if you got a girl
Mm,
that she thrives off of like being noticed and she has an OnlyFans, which is no problems with that. That's how she does it. You can't then tell her to stop doing this, stop doing that. You have to embrace her as she is or just stay
mhm.
away from it, you know? So
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I've
Keep,
oh go ahead.
huh? Go ahead.
No,
No,
I was
I
gonna
want to
say
hear what you.
I've dated women that were very va 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 vu and they like, and I'm just like, oh wow, like it's one thing to like admire it and it's one thing to date it. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a problem with it because I was like, as long as we know what time it is, like you're not disrespecting me, cool. But I do know you're gonna get a lot more attention than the average guy is comfortable with.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. But just make sure that you staying close to me. Like, don't go walking off and then expect me to have to defend your honor. Like you got to be right here with me, and I got you. So,
So in that situation, because it's funny, you're talking to a former bottle girl.
oh
I used to work at the 4040 Club
yeah, I dated
back
a
in the
bottle
day.
girl,
Yeah.
and I thought it was crazy at the time. In hindsight, because I was like, oh, I put up with a lot, but I was in love. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
Well, I mean, what could a girl who's outside do to show that? So, and maybe this is I don't want it to come across like a stupid question, but it's like, what could she do to show that she's being respectful?
I mean, for me, we like I picked her up at 4 a.m. You know, that was my
Mhm.
commitment to the relationship. I said, I want
Yeah.
you to get home safe. So I'll pick you up at 4 a.m. And then I knew all her coworkers. So all the girls knew me. She'd be like, hey, if you want to come to the club, like, let me know when you want to come. And she would get me in with my friends and set us up. And like, so it was like we kind of understood, but I knew she was still doing the job.
So,
But then I ran into issues where I would be at the club and like somebody would get disrespectful and it was all hands on deck. And I had to also remind myself, like, maybe I shouldn't go to the club because like I'm gonna be throwing hands every Friday and Saturday, you know?
Yeah.
And and she respected the fact that I defended her honor, but like I'm still jeopardizing her job. Like that's part of her job. Like she's got
Yeah.
to defend her, like guys are gonna have a couple drinks and they're gonna go for the reach
Yep.
and I just happened to be there that one particular time,
Crazy.
and it was like all hands, chairs flying, and all. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
man. Yeah, you tough.
Yeah, I was like, no, 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 you're not about to disrespect my woman, but that's not how people see them. They're not thinking, oh, she has a man. They're thinking that she comes along with the bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
100%.
so it's not
Wow.
easy. It's not easy for sure for a guy, but I felt like I fared well. That wasn't the reason we broke up. So
Yeah. And it's just like it's good to know. It's like, okay, well, what, and maybe this would be like person to person or like relationship to relationship, but it's like it's good to know, okay, well, if you are in that situation, you do want your partner to feel respected, what does that look like? What,
Hmm.
is it, I have a tendency, if I'm, maybe not so much now, but definitely back a couple years ago, I couldn't stay in one place at a party. Even like when I would be with like one other friend, like I made it a rule. Like I'm like, I don't want to be attached to the hip to you. I think it's really whack to have a crew, like a gaggle of girls, a gaggle of geese. Like I that's just not really my vibe. I'm totally comfortable with going places by myself. And so it's just like as being a social butterfly and somebody that's kind of wanting to be like, oh, let's see what's over here, let's see what's over here, let's see what's over here, what would a person like me do to ensure that they're making sure that that person, they're not disrespecting the person that they're with?
Mm. Is it something like you? Are you saying like sometimes you want to go out without your partner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I want to go out without my partner, or if I'm at the party with my partner and I don't necessarily want to stand by him the entire
Right.
time, like what would that look like? Or is that like disrespectful if
Yeah, I don't think it's disrespectful at all. I think if that's how, again, like Chris said to begin with, if that's something that you were doing when you guys met, let's say you met
Mm,
at a party and you were there by yourself, it's like, how can you be upset if,
mhm.
your girl is doing the exact same thing that she was doing, while you're there? So I don't think it's disrespectful. And again, if to lighten it or soften the blow, I guess you could always like kind of like make your lap and then come back around at some point just to check in and make sure your guy's good. He could always come and see if you're good, kind of thing. And then who knows? Maybe he's that type too. Maybe like y'all both were
Yeah,
at a party and met, and y'all were both there at Dolo. You know what I mean? So maybe it works. So, but there are a lot of ways to like, kind of like smoothing that out because that's not. It could be, I guess, something that could be an issue, but like it shouldn't be really.
yeah, I got a thing that I would always do when I'm in a place with somebody I'm dating or talking to. Then I'm like, go do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing.
Yep.
but we try to always make eye contact, at least be
Yes.
within an eye. If I can see you across the room, I can smile at you, you can smile at me. In case something is happening on the other side and I need to be made aware of it, you can hit me with the, and I can
Yep.
get there and make sure that I'm clearing it out so that way
Yeah,
you're
that's good.
safe or comfortable. But like I think it's nothing more beautiful than seeing two couples working a room and they don't have to feel attached to one another or feel like their identity is the relationship. Like, do your thing. Like, you were a whole person before you met me. I'm a whole person. I see you when I see you. We're going home together.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, when the car's here, we can leave. But, like, you don't have to feel deeded to me. And you should feel comfortable talking to women, guys, giraffes, whatever it is that you want to talk to. I'm here. Like, as long you should be walking around. We're setting the tone for our relationship when we move around. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be respectful. You're gonna be respectful. So when we walk in a room, people gonna already know. Yeah, we can't try these two. They look how they move. And
Yep.
that's it. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't. I think all relationships should be addition, not subtraction. If you coming in there
Mm,
trying to subtract parts of me to make me fit into your box, I just wasn't your cup of tea.
right.
Love
So.
that.
Right. It always seems like in these conversations, Keith, that we're always going back to like how well is it that you know yourself? Because sometimes
Absolutely.
people do think like, oh yeah, I could handle that. Oh yeah, I want that girl, la la. La. And then you get her and it's like, wait, no, and she's still doing the things that you met her
Hmm.
doing, that she was doing when you met her. It's just you have to know yourself first before you get in that situation to try and change somebody, and vice versa,
Hmm.
um, with the guys that we meet outside, and I think it's important too because, I kind of think that dating apps are whack. Um, it's just not, it's not real. It's like I'm talking to an avatar. Like if I'm talking, it's like no different from talking to Chat GPT. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
Hilarious.
I,
I'm
I
I'm not
really,
gonna lie.
like, who the hell are you even? Like,
I'm I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I'm running a triangle offense.
what
I,
does
I
that
got
mean?
so I got the dating app far right. I got friends referrals, and then I
Mm.
got like prospecting. If I'm out, I made it a practice when I go out.
Wait, it's muted.
I think he got a call.
Hold on, it's mute. We can't hear you. It has to like, because I'm like, he's saying some important stuff here.
He was dropping
Can
bars.
you hear
I
me?
was leaned in on it
Okay.
too.
Last thing we heard was triangle offense. All
Okay.
right,
That's
tell us,
it.
coach.
So the triangle offense, I call it, is that I have dating app far right, and then right in the front, I got like friends who are referring me to people
Yes.
that they've already sussed out, and then to the left, I call it prospecting. Whenever I go out, I just make it a practice to try to intentionally interact with people. If I meet somebody, great conversation, I think they're awesome. I'm like, we should exchange information. Sometimes they go yay, sometimes they say nah,
Hmm.
and I keep it pushing. But it keeps me in the practice of staying open.
Mm,
It has very little to do with getting the number, but more so getting comfortable with rejection,
Hmm.
with putting myself out there. So it's been because this is my year, my yes year. So I have to keep saying yes to things. Doing People say, "Hey, you want to go hiking?" I don't want to go hiking, but I say yes.
oh,
And but as a result, it's been opening me to a lot of opportunities. Like I'm just like, all right, we're gonna go to this
Yep.
Puerto Rican event at the park. Okay, I'm on my way.
yeah,
Like, and just really just trying to explore also like different people that I've dated the typical same amount of like the same kind of women. So I'm like
mm-hmm,
opening up. I'm like, hey, I don't know what's for me. So
Right.
let me keep knocking on some doors and see who opens.
yeah,
And with the dating app, it's weird too because you're interacting with people. Some people are local, some people are across the world. You're like, this is all a waste of time.
yeah,
However, there are some really good people I've come across and just had good conversation. Does it have to turn into anything? No. For me, I'm not holding anything, putting that much weight on anything.
Right.
Even the referrals that friends are giving me. I go out on a date. Look, I wanted to go eat, and you just you coming along. If
Yeah,
you don't, if you don't, you ain't gotta like me. I don't have to like you, but we can
Hmm.
interact like humans,
Yep.
and maybe some kind of good interaction comes out of it. Maybe, maybe not. But I'm not moving with that energy like, oh, this is the one. And
Right.
and I think that's what's taking so much pressure. So I have a light spirit when it comes to meeting people. I meet them and I'll be like, look, you got a man. I'm so happy for you. Like,
Mhm.
and that's all good, but it's not going to stop me being intentional of trying. So the trying process has been interesting because been on some interesting dates, but
I bet.
I'm undeterred, and
Good.
yeah.
I'm just moving with a light spirit, and attracting and not chasing. So
Yes.
We talked a little bit about that. Like, it's so funny you mentioned it, Chris, because we talked a little bit about that. Not our last time meeting, but the time before that when we were talking about first dates and talking about like, we were speaking to going into like the first 10 minutes of meeting someone. What
Yeah.
is your like, how much weight do you hold? How much weight does that first 10 minutes hold? And like, that first date, are you putting out your expectations? Are you, what are you feeling for and stuff? And of course, both Denise and I had our opinions on it. And they were very different because I understand kind of like where you're coming where I try to understand and where you're coming from when it comes to like having a young woman who's going out of her way to like make time to go on a date with you. And you're in a big city, so it takes a lot of effort, so it's almost like you don't want to you're not wanting to waste your time. But my perspective on it was that I'm not really expecting anything. I'm not looking for I'm listening and I'm there to observe and go back and forth, but I'm not specifically looking for you to tell me your expectations or like what's your 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I'm just looking to see if how we get along, like what the conversation is like. Is it somebody that do we enjoy each other's company when we're just talking about nothing? Like it doesn't have to
Mhm.
feel so like guarded up, because I feel like first dates these days, or just meeting people in general.
like an interview process.
That's exactly what I said. That's the verbatim. That's what I use. And when it comes to interviews, at some point you study the interview process enough to know what answers you should make, what are good answers and what are bad answers. And I don't want anybody going into any type of interaction with me feeling like there's a good answer or a bad answer. I don't want anybody preparing for the interview or preparing for the date like that. That's
Mm.
already coming. That's already going to end up being something that's insincere.
Yeah.
And so I'm not looking for, I just want you to feel as comfortable as possible. I want to feel, and so I'm going to present myself as comfortable as possible when I'm meeting anybody, because I don't want that guard up. And I know everybody goes into like meeting new people with guards up anyway. That's just a natural thing. You're not going to go up to somebody random and talk about like your childhood trauma or something, but like there's a certain extent that you go into it with, and you want to like present an energy that brings people's walls down, because they have them up for most of their lives when dealing with people, whether it's work or anywhere else. You just want to be a person that people feel comfortable talking to. Like that's how you get to know people for real. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Amen.
so yeah, we had a full dissertation about that too. Like not last week. Well, it was last
The
week.
time before,
Yep,
the
yep. And
conversation before. But
it
I
was
don't
good though.
remember what was my perspective. I don't remember what I honestly don't remember what I said.
That's a problem, you know that.
She said, "What?"
No.
What did I say though?
Well, it was and I can't remember the young lady's name. She was an
Cherie.
actress. Say it one more time. Cherie, that's
Cherie.
right, Cherie. Both of you guys had had a similar perspective on like going into it. You don't want to like you're going on this date with intention and so like it was
Oh
about intention,
yeah, 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 yeah,
and so when you go and so like when you go into it with intention, you're obviously going to project that like energy of like, what's up? Like, what are you doing? What do you want here?
Yes.
What do you want from me? And that was what Cherie actually
yeah.
said, was
Yes.
like, I'm looking to figure out what he wants, he or she wants. So I'm like, I think that was where we kind of like
I think that's where it goes
disagreed.
wrong for sure. I
But
would.
you know,
I wouldn't. Hmm?
so we also gave the example of this guy during COVID, right? My quarantine. And
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's why me and Sheree ended up like having that um consensus of like, oh yeah, no, you have to know what this person wants. Because she had asked me at the end of it, like, well, did he know that you wanted this? Or did you have that conversation? And I was like, actually, we didn't. Because I went in like Keith, like vibes,
Yeah.
like, let's just see what happens. Let's just see where it goes. Let's just have a good time. And I don't think that. I think that there has to be a way in which you can find a middle ground where you're not totally going into it like what are the vibes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you know, so what do you do? How much money
Right,
you make? What's your FICO score? Da, 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 da,
right,
da. Like,
right.
I mean, that stuff is gonna
I think
definitely come up.
I think I was throwing I stress test all my dates. I feel like I'd be like, "Do you want kids?" And
Okay.
I feel
Yeah,
like
those are
that's
good
a
questions.
I feel like that's a nice middle ground because it tells a lot. Because like whether you got a good FICO score does not tell a lot.
Right.
Because you could be down now, but we can get it together and get you right tomorrow. But do you fundamental, like what do you want out of life? Like are
Hmm.
you I always ask them like, so like, do you want kids? And they be like, oh no, I don't want kids. And I'd be like, okay, great. We probably won't go on a date again
For
because
sure.
I want kids. So
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with whether we had vibes. We could have vibed and we could agree that we gonna operate off of full vibes for the night and have a good time. But like there's no there's no steam behind that train anymore because now I've learned that we're gonna be moving polar opposites. So, it's I try to sprinkle in the questions but not make it so heavy.
Yep.
Like I'm like,
Yes.
I talk about, their work and, I want to know about their dreams and aspirations. Those are the things that are really important to me that I'll bring
Yeah.
up on the first date. Like, what do you want out of life without being so like so deep? But like, do you, and some women that tell me straight up, well, I don't want to work. I don't want to work. I'm tired of working. I'm tired. I want to be taken care of, but I don't mind being a stay at home. I'm like, all right, cool. Good to know. Like, those are important things so we can at
Absolutely.
least start managing expectations. But
Yeah.
Could have
But
used
I,
you. Could have used you a few about a week ago, man. This is a good topic right here. Could have used you.
yeah, I
I was
mean,
the
look,
two. It was a two v one that day.
man, look, I'm out here, I'm catching strays too. So I'm just, I just keep coming back. Like I'm like, all right, cool. Like I went on a whole date with, I remember it was funny. I had a date, she got sick, so she canceled. So I was like, cool, I got a free day. I'm just going to chill at the crib. And then one of my homegirls hit me, and then another homegirl hit me, and they're like, I got this girl that wants to go on a date with you. I was like, what? They was like, yeah, she was talking about she can't find no good man in LA. And we brought you up, and she looked at your page, and she's down. And I was like, okay. And they were like, and she down tonight, too. She want to go out tonight. And I'm
Come
like,
Oh
on.
my God.
tonight? Like, yeah, tonight. I was like, okay. And then all the girls, they up here gassing it up, and I'm like, all right. I mean, we can step out. Like, I ain't got nothing to lose.
For sure.
And it was a nice little gathering, but a bunch of my friends were at the bar and they crashed it. And I was like, you know what? This is actually good because it's stress testing. She's around my people. I'm
Yep.
seeing how she
Mm,
interacts around different people, and it was cool. And then I dropped her off. That was it. Like I was just like, hey, we just meeting. I don't know you enough to even try to see what's what. Like we just getting to know each other.
Yep.
Well, the next day she sent me a message and she goes, I really enjoyed hanging out with you, but I didn't feel the chemistry. I was like, we literally hung out 4 hours. I was like, word. I was
yeah.
like, I was like, fair, but I think that's a misstep on your part because like I wasn't going for chemistry. I was
Right.
Yeah.
going for likability. The
Yeah.
chemistry comes with a little more conversation, like little more intentional timing. But like
Yep.
we were just hanging. I wanted to see how we could do in a room, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was like,
And it wasn't like, I mean, it doesn't sound like it was one on one enough to come up with that assessment. And I honestly think it's important to highlight the ways in which women can do themselves a disservice by operating that way. Um, because it's a lot more listening than we think. I think it's a lot more time spent than we think. And then I think it's the same girls like that. Now I don't know her from a hole in the wall, but it's the same sort of way of thinking that will a girl will get love bombed and then be like, "Oh my God, how did this happen to me? He doesn't actually give a fuck about me." And it's like, yeah, because you weren't really listening. You weren't really paying attention.
Mm.
You were a little too, yes, vibes. And what is he really talking about? I'm sorry. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, and that couldn't happen in 4 hours where you're at a bar and it's your friends and her friends and this and that. It's like, yeah, okay, this is cool. Like, and that's kind of the way it's supposed to be. I mean, again, maybe this is just a me thing, but
No, I agree with you.
shouldn't
I
really
could have
be,
been that guy and then really like poured it on her, but like it would have been disingenuous.
and it wouldn't have been real. And
And
maybe
then
she's
she'd have
been
been
talking to
talking
him, maybe
crazy
not.
about she'd have been talking crazy about you then to her to y'all's mutual friends, and that
If
would
you're
have been
too
a whole
nice, right?
yeah. Or like
Yeah.
you just were doing too much, or like you were putting on for the night, and then next day or a few days later she didn't hear from you. There's so many ways that could have gone that like would have not been beneficial to her, and you didn't do any of those, and she couldn't appreciate that. She didn't see that. You know what I mean? Which is like you just you know you almost like you got saved anyway.
Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
I was okay because I was like I was being myself. So
Yep,
if being myself didn't feel like chemistry, then it's okay.
for sure.
I was like I literally just met you like 2 hours ago. I even knew you existed.
Yeah.
And then we went out for 4 hours, and I was a gentleman. I picked you up, I dropped you off, I made sure
Yeah.
you were good. I was respectful, and I was like, well, I could have went the other way and just been like on some like super mess and like just
Hmm.
been messy, and then maybe you would have reacted to that a little different. But like, if you did, you're not my person.
For sure.
And
So.
that goes back to like attachment. That goes back to what does it mean to be, which we have a quiz coming up, by the way. I'm so excited to share with everybody. So you get to find out your attachment style. I right before we hopped on, I noticed a little glitch, so I have to do some more tweaking with it. But there's going to be a quiz where you can find what your attachment style is, and then it'll link you to which character in the film you're most alike, because each character in the film has a very distinct attachment style. Chris, I mean, you both seen it, so you can probably guess who is who and what is what. But I think the most fascinating thing with the attachment theory is the combo people, the people who are like anxious avoidant, and those people who are, you might think you're one thing, but you're actually the mix of both. And how does that manifest in like what does that do in terms of your behavior, knowing yourself? But Keith, I wanted to ask you. Okay, is unrequited love safer because it lives more in imagination than reality? Does it feel, which I feel like I can answer that.
Is it safer because of that? Um,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's safer. I would say if it lives more in imagination, then it probably isn't safer.
Huh.
But it probably feels a lot safer. I got to get a real definition of what unrequited love is first. Probably, I probably don't know the full. What does that mean exactly?
Basically, a love that just doesn't really fully manifest. Um,
Oh, okay, like almost
I
like
would
hopeless romantic vibes, something like
kind
romantic,
of,
like romanticizing something.
Or a love that
or
doesn't quite arrive.
yes.
Right.
It's kind
Okay.
of
I
there,
would
but
honestly say like the relationship between Wild and Sabine is like like true unrequited. But also I would say a bit like Monica and Wild as well.
Yeah.
Like they are they have something, but it's just, when Wild is coming to Monica, Monica's going this way, and then he finally turns away, and she's like, "No, wait, come back." It's
Yeah.
like, it's like, Pac-Man, those two, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, that
Um,
makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense now that you put it that way. And I think what I would say to that is like safer. That's tough, but I think who wants, everybody's looking. We all want to like, we all want something more, So I guess when it's something to still go for and still try to attain, I think we find comfort in that. And it takes our attention span, like it holds our attention span a little bit longer than something that feels like it's arrived, you know. So
mhm,
I don't know if that's safer though. Um, but it probably feels like it. We're always looking for something more. We're always looking for, like, when something feels like it's stagnant or like, kind of like peaked, then we're kind of always looking for something else. So I imagine that pursuit is what we get stuck in.
mm. What do you think, Chris?
I think unrequited love, um, depending on the type of person you are, can, based on your capacity for love, might be all that you can, like, that might feel good to you.
Hmm.
Because once you get into that next level of love, which is deep, that requires you to really show up and participate and really be present and be accountable, that's the scary part for most people.
Right.
So,
Mm,
like, I think that some people fall in love with unrequited love because it's safe to them, because it doesn't allow them to fully show up. Because
mm,
it's nobody's really showing up. You're getting like pieces of love, but not the full meal.
Right.
So it's,
mm,
it's easier to skirt around and not feel the obligation, because you don't have to, because it's not the full. You're getting like a watered down version of what love is.
mhm,
So it's easy to show up and look like, like a superstar, because you're only giving pieces of yourself. But if somebody told you to, like, hey, I need you to really lock in and really be here and present and la 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 la, a lot of people can't handle that.
and I would say, conversely, on the receiving end, it's safer to receive unrequited love because you can manage your expectations better.
Yeah, because you be like, they're
Like,
gonna leave anyway, or this
yes,
one, I'm not tripping. Like, I
yeah,
kind of like
It's
her. You know
fair.
what I'm saying? It's like one foot in, one foot out.
yeah. And it's like, you know, you can make up in your mind what it is versus actually having to grapple with the
The structure of
well,
a real
yeah, but
relationship.
Expectations.
the expectation, but it's also like the unknown. Like, there's like this intangible human being whose mind I can't control and I don't really know what they're thinking. So it's actually easier for them to kind of be me, not to really expect too much out of them because I can just manage my own feelings if I don't expect too much in that sense. So I think it's 100% safer, because then whatever, I'm doing my own thing anyway, you
That's why
know.
friends with benefits is a big theme in a lot of
Yeah,
instances, because people are
yeah,
like, I can't get hurt because I know what it is, and you can't get hurt. But then when it starts to become
hurt,
something deeper,
Right.
then everybody's feelings get hurt, because you start to really fall for the person. And
yeah,
now it's not, oh, but you said you were going to call me, but like, you never cared about me calling you before. But now
right,
that you got feelings, now you want me, I'm obligated to call you, because now
right.
we're a thing. And before, what were we? It was just in the air. It was just floating around. Nobody put any like real structure around it. So it was just like, it was like clouds. Like, ain't nobody yelling at the clouds.
So
Like, yeah.
when you do have a friends with benefits situation, i.e., like Sabine and Wild,
Hmm.
how does a conversation like that come about? Because that was what our first live was actually with Monique, who played Sabine, and it was all about how one person could have an idea of a relationship and the other person in that relationship could have a totally different idea of what's going on here. And so, yeah, what does that look like in a situation like that? What does a conversation look like, and when does that come about if you are just friends with benefits?
I think it comes about. at different times for different people. Um,
Oh, he's frozen.
In the call. He's
Okay,
okay,
gonna
there you
come.
go.
am
There
I
you go.
back? Okay.
Different times for different people.
So I think that sometimes in a situation of when you're having kind of an open relationship or friends with benefits, somebody tends to catch feelings sooner than the other person. And the one person is gonna be like, and I've had open conversations like, hey, this is what it is. Are you okay with it? They're like, yep. And that ultimately there's a time limit. That clock starts right then. Boop, because it's gonna that shot clock is gonna hit at some point or another, and you're gonna have to address it. And I think that sometimes one person's like, look, well, I mean, we spend a lot of time together. I really like you, and I thought you liked me, and they gotta try to force that situation, and it's like, nah, man, I'm over here. Like I was never intending on being on this side. So, and everybody changes. Sometimes both people ultimately decide like we want to make this more, but you
Hmm.
can't bank on that. So it's like sometimes people get into friends with benefits hoping they can convert it into a relationship, and then they end up getting hurt. So it's a tough one. Like you got to know exactly what you really want out the situation. I think being transparent is the thing. Like
That's
I
so
would have like
scary.
I would have check-ins like, hey, how you feeling? Like do you still feel like you cool with this? And they'd be like, yeah,
Have you
kind of.
always been like this?
No, I think it just happened with time. Like I
'Cause
started,
that's such a mature thing.
I
Like,
used to be
Definitely.
very strict. I was a tight ass for a good portion of my life in dating. Like I was like, if I knew a woman had like I couldn't fathom a lot of things with women. I always looked at women and I expected them to be perfect, and then I eventually broke out of that and realized that we're all human and flawed. So I just tried to be as transparent as possible. And
Yeah.
that came from me also just wanting to learn and really just be present like, oh, like this is a really good woman. She may not be my person,
Right.
but for right now, she's like really awesome. I'm learning a lot from her. And I think being honest, once I learned that being honest was like the key to my peace of mind and my nervous system being regulated, I was
yes,
like, oh,
amen.
I'm about to tell them whether they like it or not.
Love that.
Because lying caused me to be stressed out. And I was like, I can't live like this. So then I just
Mm,
started being honest and gave everybody the option to leave. And then some of them didn't leave. And I was like,
hey, there's
okay.
something
So
here.
so this might be able to work. And then you start having those honest conversations. Like I wasn't always great at communicating. I think it's just come with like trial and error, and then you just start to realize that there's no point in lying and there's no point in not communicating. Like at this point in my life, like I want to be fully transparent in all things. Like I always tell
Hmm.
people, you can ask any question you want. You just got to be okay. You may not be okay with it, but you can't put that on me. Like be prepared.
Right.
Like I'll
Yeah.
answer the question, but be okay with, be prepared for the response. Like, and that's it. And I don't ask questions that I don't want to know the answer of either.
Yes,
100%.
we touched on that in the last live. That was something that we did talk
So I'm
about.
like, I don't need to know that. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
hear that, but I don't want to know that. So thank you.
Yep.
Um,
I'm
Yep.
gonna save that one for the group chat.
When we
yeah.
were defining ethical non-monogamy and like, okay, so what is it? Like, isn't it when you're just in the dating phase because you're essentially accepting that the person is probably seeing other people unless you say otherwise. So at what point does it become like this title of like ethical non-monogamy? Is it when you decide you want them to be a primary partner? And if not, how do you know if it's your thing, you know? And Keith had made a mention of it. It's just like you probably just don't want to know. It's just certain things you don't ask, don't tell type of thing.
Mhm.
Which I don't know. I feel like that's really dangerous. Like that to me also,
Yeah.
even in like the beginning stages of like dating, it feels like I need to know. Like if you're seeing a number of other girls, okay, just let me know. I don't need to know who and when, but I do need to know like what's going on here because I don't I just need to again manage my expectations and I think that's just I don't know, but that's me, and not speaking for everyone else. But Keith was saying from a guy's perspective, he would probably not want to know. I don't want to speak
No,
for you. If
I have rules in my world that hey, if we're dating, dating means I'm still available. Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I'm not if I'm becoming intimate with somebody, I'm gonna make you aware of it
yes,
well before we enter that phase. Um, because I like to believe I like to in advance have that conversation. I don't like it to just happen just out of like just random. I want to
Hmm.
make I'm gonna be like, hey, so here's my tests. I'm all good to go in case it was to happen. You're fully aware and you can feel safe.
mm-hmm,
And so I
mm-hmm,
don't I don't want to kind of thrive in a land of confusion. So like I tell anybody if I'm dealing with somebody and I decide to become intimate with another person, I'll make you aware, and you can make a decision at that point. You could either say, "Hey, oh, I'm cool with it," or "I'm good,"
Yep.
yeah,
and that's just what it is. Everybody deserves a choice, so I'm
yeah,
going to give you a choice, and you can choose to do with it what you will.
mm,
I
Love
think I
that.
yeah.
throw women off when I ask them like, "Have you gotten tested? Can I get your test results?" That does throw them off quite often, but
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
but that's one of
can
your
imagine
non-negotiable
so.
questions. Keith, are you gonna say something?
No, I was I can imagine the response being probably pretty thrown off sometimes, but
oh, it's
it's
50-50.
but it's fair, and it's reasonable. It's not. I don't think it's over. I don't think it's overdoing it at all. I think it's about as fair as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon in the chat says the songwriter said you can't keep running in and out of my life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is my song. First of all, that's the Gap Band, isn't it?
Of course.
Um,
Mhm.
Yearning for Your Love.
Mhm.
Just had to throw that in. And we love that you did because that is my jam. But yeah, you just gotta make the decision. So I have another question. What is harder, accepting to be fully loved or chasing someone that's unavailable?
Mm. Wow, both of those are really difficult.
I like that. But they're both equal. Like it's like which hard you want me to
I'm about to
choose?
say two ends of the
Um,
same sword. It's like a double-ended, you know,
yeah.
um, which I guess that's really more. I would imagine that's probably pretty subjective. It just depends on who you're talking to. So I'll speak for myself, and I'll let Chris speak for himself because
Mhm.
that's a lot. Accepting to be fully loved is, again, I think it goes back to what how you feel about yourself, and if you're able to accept someone coming, because again, I'm just thinking about how it would feel to be like fully loved. You know what I'm saying? Like how what that could what is that what that could look like in some ways, and that can you know to depending on who you are could probably feel pretty overwhelming, especially if
Overwhelming.
especially if you
So,
haven't unpacked a lot of stuff with yourself, if you're still trying to figure out a lot of what you have going on, if you're still trying to figure out how you feel about said person that's willing to fully love you. um, it can be very like it's a lot of it's very intense. When I think about being fully loved, that really sounds like the first word I could think of is like intense,
mhm.
which is good. It could be good or bad. I don't think it's uh, I don't think it's a negative thing. And then chasing someone that's unavailable, I would imagine chasing someone that's unavailable is obviously it's tough, but at least you like for some reason you still see this light at the end of the tunnel. Like
Yeah.
you don't see it like visually, but you kind of like imagine it, and it's almost like like a dog chasing its tail in a lot of ways. And so that dog continues to chase that tail until finally he just gets tired. So like I imagine I think accepting to be fully loved probably is harder because it's like I think it's still that pursuit when it comes to chasing that like still makes it feel like there's still something out there to get. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know if I answered that correctly, but that's all I got for
There's no right or wrong.
that.
No,
Yeah.
There's
I really enjoyed your answer.
Appreciate it.
I mean, as of last year, I put away my cape, so
Mm,
I'm no longer saving.
Oh,
No longer chasing. Like I'm like, you got to show up a complete person, and I'm gonna show up a complete person, and
yes.
we can agree to disagree whether we feel like we mesh well together. I think for a big part of my life, I was chasing, and it wasn't that they didn't want to be with me; they just weren't emotionally available to the
Right.
extent that I was. So it was still a lot of chasing to get us on the road or correct the relationship so that we can get to the promised land.
Yeah.
And I found like for me personally, I feel like I've paid for far too much therapy for other women than I should have. Yeah, and I was like, what am I doing? Everybody's like, Chris, you're not even married. I was like, yeah, but I'm trying to catch it before you. You know what? You're right. So
ah, yeah,
I've been
yeah.
trying to course correct everything before it even and at a certain point you have to allow them the space to bump their heads and
Right.
figure it out. If they don't figure it out, then it's on them. They
Yeah.
should be the one to go get therapy. What I look like trying to Dr. Phil
Exactly.
anybody, you
Oh,
know?
yeah,
And but it was an important lesson. I think for me being fully loved has always been a challenge because
yeah,
I was always the one that was taking care of everybody, loving everybody. So I didn't know what it looked like for a woman, a full woman to show up 100%. Like, look, I'm here for you. I don't need nothing from you. I just want to love on you. And for me to accept that without feeling like inadequate in a way, because I'm like, well, she doesn't need me. And she could leave at any point because there's nothing holding her here except my love. Is my love enough? And it was like,
mm,
and it was difficult to understand, for me to kind of realize that, you know, my love is enough.
Yep.
For a long time, I was like, in order for a woman to want to be with me, I need to have it all together. I
yep,
need to be able to provide resources and safety and this and that, the third. And at the end of the day, someone, there's a woman out there is like, man, I just want you for who you are. I
Hmm.
don't care if you are killing it at work or you're in between work. I like you for, I know what you stand for, your ethics, your
yep,
moral compass, and
yep,
that's enough for me. Like I didn't experience that for a long time.
Hmm.
mm,
I had to really constantly I felt like I was always on the job to keep
Yep.
my relationships. So that was probably the hardest thing for me.
yeah. And I think, well, I blame it on my Scorpio, me being a Scorpio moon, but I trust no one. And it's like, so when like the like full like real love came, it was like, this isn't real. You're
Yeah.
not real. This isn't real. Like, I don't know what this is, but this isn't real. Like, it was so, like, I really, granted, I was really young, but,
It was breaking
like,
hearts, huh?
I was like, what was I,
That's what
20?
it was.
That's what it sounded like, don't it?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was maybe like 23, 24. And I just was like, it just, the concept of it, like, everything about it. But I'm to this day so glad, like, that person is so wonderful and special, and they are living a fabulous life now, and it's everything that they deserve. So I'm just like, yeah, it 100% could not have been me. Like, it wasn't me, isn't me, was never me. And
Right.
it just was so much clarity. But it also kind of like, took some time to be like, oh, that's what that was. I blamed it on all the silly little things that really shouldn't have mattered, out of immaturity. But really, it was just like my ears are getting hot again.
That's what happens when
Speak
you're
the truth.
opening up. You know what I mean? You're getting personal. That's a good thing.
Kayla says, same sis, I'm a Scorpio, so you feel me, my girl. No, sir. I'm like, no, you have an ulterior motive. And he had absolutely no ulterior motives. He was just literally a wonderful person.
What to
Um,
that? What to that, Denise? Have you ever realized too late that it was somebody? that was doing it, that he was doing, I guess in that situation, would you consider him, he was doing all the right things and loving you well and doing things that, were he was supposed to be doing ideally, but you just weren't willing to accept it? That's what that was given.
Well, I wouldn't say that it was too late. I'm a firm believer in everything happening in God's divine timing, and I'm
That's
not saying
real.
that in a blasphemous way. I'm saying that in a true way. I think God is like really the orchestrator of things. Even if you think about, not to get so super deep in the Bible, but you think about Alpha and Omega and how like the days were made, that he's and or whatever, God sees everything and it's already kind of done. It's already written, even if you're thinking about life in reverse, because God doesn't move like left to right we do. And it's not even up to, you think about even like how people across the world write differently. Some people write from right to left, some people write from top to bottom. Like that just is an example of like what time is to God. Like
Right.
it doesn't really exist. And so in terms of it feeling like too late, no, it was like literally right on time. It was right on time because then it was like the next thing for me, and
But I think Kevin was really getting at, like, were you like, hmm, maybe I should have given him a chance versus like, or you were just like, oh no, divine timing.
no. No. I kind of like, it was also like a bit of like a gut thing, you
Mhm.
know. I have another example, but I don't want to like spill all my guts here. But
Why
it's
not?
like,
This is the perfect time for it.
The tea is brewing. Hold on, let me go get the.
get you some popcorn. No,
Yeah,
because
let me
Keith
get.
Exactly.
has this way of having me telling all these damn stories, and
I
I'm
was just
gonna
asking
post
a
this,
question,
Keith.
I might have an ex on this live watching right now. I don't know.
Oh man.
My
I
joint
mean,
frozen at the bottom, so I can't tell who's in the room. So,
Oh man.
right.
it's like, but it's a good conversation to have. Scorpios never tell it all. Clock it. We just, this is the most I've ever probably have spoken about me personally, like literally ever in my life. Like I don't do it. I don't. Even to like some of my closest friends, like they'll call me, one of my closest friends, she calls me a secret squirrel. She'd be like, "Who you out with?" I'd be like, "I'm just going out with a friend." And
None
she's
of
like,
your
"Okay,
business.
your
The Fed,
friend."
the feds are
Um,
hiring, so just FYI.
Exactly.
so yeah, okay. I don't know if I answered the question, but if it was too late, if I realized it too late, no. I think we did have a moment where like years later we went out to lunch and I was like, oh, this was the right thing to do. Like not continuing this was the absolute right thing to do.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I felt so solid in it. Like, yeah, and I think it's possible to like have love for someone without having to love them, if that makes sense. Like
Yes.
uh I just think the world of him. I really do. And I'm just so happy for like him and his life, but I'm just so crystal clear like that life was not mine. In the name of Jesus, it was not mine. So it wasn't like I'm realizing something like, oh, he really loved me and it was too late. And it was more so like, no, I'm realizing what that looks like and thank you God for showing me because now that's stored in me somewhere for when that I don't know, when the right person does come along with like, the right lighter to ignite it. Like it's
Hmm.
almost like like
Yeah,
the thing, it's like a
a little
pilot.
starter. Yeah, it's like the pilot
Yes.
light.
Yeah,
Mm.
he kind of like implanted my little pilot light. And now it's just like for someone, it's downtime for someone with the right lighter. You guys, I got some motherfuckers coming up with matchsticks and they're wet. And it's like, go, Guan, my boy Guan, you can't light nothing over here, with your fucking wet matchbox. You ain't lighting shit over there.
No, that's real.
You got some guys coming with the lighter, but because they done used it so much, it's out of fluid. My boy Gway,
Mhm.
you don't have enough lighter fluid for me. And there's gonna be someone that's gonna come along
With all
with
the capacity,
with all the capacity,
with
all
Right.
the
the
lighter fluid,
extendo.
the good up lighter. with the extra long piece. I'm
The
just
bendable joint too. He just whine.
Oh
and
man.
that's what my chat about. And I know it exists because of that unrequited love. And that's why I think sometimes unrequited love could be the best kind of love because it teaches you um, all about possibility. Even when you are experiencing things that may dampen your beliefs, you know, there's somebody that came along at one point, and you just kind of have to remember. Uh,
Man, I love the way you brought that back around.
Hmm.
Because in you saying that, I do realize that unrequited love was it was painful, but it was one of the most beautiful things for me because it healed me from a longer relationship, but then also showed me that I had capacity to still love,
mhm.
and it's
Yeah.
now set me up for the future. So yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to unrequited
Fire.
love.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
Yeah,
out to them.
yeah. We won't shout her out, but we'll shout out unrequited love.
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah,
She was the vessel for the
yeah.
unrequited
She was
love.
the vessel. God bless her. So,
Yeah. Okay, so we wanna kind of tie this back to the film a little bit. Um, wait, Keith, this is actually a
Yeah,
question for me.
for sure. I was about to say I was waiting for for the opening, but yes, okay, perfect. So there's a moment in Monica's scene where longing is stronger than connection. Do you think that that's something that people romanticize?
Yes, 100%. And I
I'll
think
say, please elaborate.
um I think it stems from like, guys, I'm just gonna blame it on Sex in the City. It stems from like all the shows and stuff that we watch where it's like, oh, he just is so this and you know, this is big handsome finance guy that I just keep running into, and it's just so magical every time I run into him, and it's like,
Yep.
and it becomes like he's almost mythologized, I think is the word. He becomes like this figure that in his existence of like being like this figure in your mind, um you latch onto it, and we kind of like we treated almost like I don't want to say like a god, but almost, you know, because we can't, there's not there, we know God in the spirit, but we don't know him like in any of the physical ways. So we're searching for that. We're constantly searching for to be able to hear it, to be able to feel it. And so in some ways, when we get a partner, an intimate partner, they can be the manifestation of what that love is because they know it's on a level that no one else will. And so in that search, it's like, oh my God, he could be it. But we don't have any like tangible things to like connect it. But we're like, that's okay because I don't have any tangible things to connect me to God. So maybe it could be him. It could be him. It could be him. It could be him. And then you start making up shit. And it's like, and that's kind of fun. Well, at least it's fun for me. and, and, you know, it becomes this battle between like the things that you've made up and the things that you think you remember and the things that actually happen. And we see that in that breakdown in the scene between Monica and Wilde because it's like he's like, I wanted you there, and she's like, at a fucking funeral, like, have you lost your mind? But that in his mind is like, no, that makes perfect sense. And conversely, she's like, you know, I wouldn't go out of my way to come see you in LA if I hadn't seen you in New York, you know? Like there's nothing about this that makes sense. But what is the reality that we're attaching ourselves to? And I just think it's the fact that they both have these romanticized versions of each other in their minds, whether it be like a glimpse that she holds on to. Now it's so I don't know if I want to say this because I don't want to give away this moment in the film. I won't. But it could be something as simple as like, I don't know, what is a really simple core memory? I don't know. Um I guess on a personal level there was this way, it was a particular way that one of these guys tied their shoes. And that was like to me it was just like, oh. Like not only is it like like he wears like actual shoes, but like the way he like ties them, it's just like, and that to me, I like magnified it, and it was something so trivial. Um, and so I don't know. I think I just went off on a tangent. I hope I'm answering the question,
You
but
are
yeah, the connection is definitely something that people romanticize 100%.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
for sure. I think it's like you especially in the field that we're all in as a creative. You get it's natural to envision like the future, and I think
Yes.
that's all that romanticizing is just like seeing something before it happens, seeing something that a lot of times is not even close to happening. You like go all the way out there, and it does come from the things we grew up watching, things we watch now. Because just like you mentioned Sex in the City and all these other shows, and I think women have a lot more examples of that in media or in like, that's the sale that they've been doing for a really long time, but we have those, we have examples of that as well. And we picture ourselves in those situations also. So even if it's something like as simple as like Hitch, right, where Hitch was the opposite,
Yeah.
which
My
would end
favorite
up
movie.
you know what I mean, bro? It was my favorite movie for a long time, still is. But it's like one of those things where he's helping other guys. He got hurt, and he's helping other guys to kind of play the game and strategize their way into a relationship with the girl that they're looking for. Or at the very same time, he's the most guarded because of something that happened to him years and years ago. And then like he meets this girl who kind of like breaks all of that down. He breaks all his rules for that, and he ends up
Mhm.
like with her at the end. So I think that's kind of in the back of all of our minds to some degree. And yeah, that is like, I think it's also think that's a good thing. I don't think it's always a negative thing that we do that either, because you do
Mm.
need something to look forward to. I think
Yeah.
that's what life is about, is looking forward to stuff.
I look at it like adrenaline. We create adrenaline for survival.
Yes.
So
Mm.
in order to be able to fall in love and to actually open up your eyes and be receptive to the idea of being in a committed relationship with somebody, you do need that spark. You do
Yes.
need something that can help push you in that direction. And if you don't have imagination, if you don't have other components, we'll all just be walking around in circles.
Yep.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's a necessary evil, and it works with the right person.
Exactly.
It doesn't work with the wrong person, and that's
Yeah.
the only downfall. Is like,
100%.
you can be running fast, but you got the wrong shoes on. If you got on those dress shoes that you like so much that he tied, he ain't gonna get very far. But if
Yeah.
he got on some boots, he might get to where he need to get. So it's one of those things. So it's really about timing. I think all these things work with the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be a
Yeah.
hot mess, but if you meet the right person, your mess, they can accept you messy and all. And they can see the beauty
Hmm.
in who you are. And that's what we're all looking for at the end of the day. Somebody that can
Yes.
accept our foolishness and all its glory, and but see the beauty in who we are and not try to change us.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
So
That's the key to
Well said.
longevity, I think.
yeah,
100% in the ups and the downs. Because really and truly, it's about, we're getting older. There's some real life stuff happening, watching our parents get older, and so it's really just about somebody that's rocking with you in a real way, you know? All right,
the
let's
good,
ask
bad, and
this.
ugly.
Say that again.
I said the good, bad, and ugly.
Yes. That's a Consequence song. He's showing you the good, the bad, the
It's a
ugly.
movie too, an old Western movie.
Oh, okay. I gotta look it up.
Mhm.
Let's ask the audience a question. Have you guys, and sometimes we have to answer these questions, but have you guys ever had a love that felt stronger because it wasn't fully yours? And anybody that's in the chat, if you want to chime in.
Sound like a Donnell Jones song.
Wait,
It
what?
does.
Say it again. Say the question again.
Okay. Have you ever had a love that felt stronger because it wasn't fully yours? Like the reason it felt strong was because it wasn't yours.
Mm.
Like she was in a relationship or she was far away. Like
Either.
I think with distance, dealing with somebody from a long distance, it can create a false sense of this like perfected love because you guys aren't seeing each
The
other on a
real.
day-to-day basis. You don't see when she's like having cramps and she's angry and nasty. You're not seeing that. You're not seeing when she forgets to comb her hair because when she visits you, you see it everything like perfect. You see
Yeah.
perfection and you're seeing the representative and not the real person. So in that sense, yes. Hmm.
Mhm.
But
You're not seeing that she didn't wake up and she didn't brush her teeth with y'all
yeah.
before y'all talked that
Or
morning
she
on
put the
FaceTime.
braces on, or she sleep with the machine. You know what I mean? And you like, oh my gosh.
I don't know. It's funny having like retainers.
Right. That breathing machine is crazy though. I'm not gonna lie,
You
that's
gotta.
hilarious.
I can deal with the retainers, but like I don't know about the machine. You got to be by an
The
outlet.
machine is a
Hmm.
lot.
Maybe she was a lot.
She does a lot. Sammy, so gorgeous for real, says, in some ways, you pour more when it doesn't feel like it's yours because you feel you gotta earn it slash prove it can be yours. 100%. Yeah. It's like, it's just, I think it's wired in all of us. I don't think it's like men or women. I think we all like feel like, and Monica kind of like touches on this in the scene, saying like women of color feeling like we have to be all these things before we can be loved first.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. We definitely don't have enough time to get into that. That is a whole. That's a
That's
conversation. Like
part
we.
two.
That's part two. No,
Sure.
because we had a conversation with director Chase Johnson, and he brought up some amazing things, kind of talking about the diaspora and like our history and how we got to be this way, and I definitely think it stems from a lot of really deep things. You know, women being able to get domestic work when men were not able to get domestic work, and how that sort of like set up our society, and you know, just feeling certain ramifications of that even to this day. You know, there's a lot. um and so yeah, in a way it feels like in the interest of feeling safe, there's all these things that kind of like have to be done. Like my life has to be in order in order in order for me to accept this and like let this in. So it's not only just a matter of like pouring into something, but it's also like allowing that thing to pour into you, because again, like it's kind of like my arc filter, you know? It's like if you don't if somebody doesn't remember to fill it back up, it's just an empty container. It's just like this empty vessel. And if the person I'm depending on refilling my container fucking forgets, I'm gonna go thirsty. Well, I'm gonna make sure that I'm every time I pour something out, I'm refilling it back in. I'm pouring back into myself. And in some ways I think that's important. I think it's important to be a woman and take care of your shit. And it's also really important to know how to let someone pour into you too. Um, because, you know, that's kind of what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, Keith, did you have an answer for it?
Yeah, I was trying to think about that. It's like I think what Chris said about it, long distance relationships and stuff like that kind of resonates in a lot of ways because it is like you're seeing this one dimension of a person and you see it over and over again to the point where you start feeling like it's the full scope. And yeah, it can be very like misleading in a lot of ways. And so yeah, I think that one is that's like when he said that, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of another example, but yeah, that because again, we just came through something like COVID, where you're still, everybody's still trying to be social and still wanting to be as like, kind of like just still in the mix a little bit, and so you are building relationships with people from across, possibly from the same city, from another state, and that was kind of a very confusing time. And then like when COVID, like when the quarantine or whatever stopped, it was like then you get a chance to see somebody, a little bit,
Oh
a
yeah.
little bit, and it was like, oh yeah, exactly. I'm not really actually. Can we just go back to FaceTime? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even like. I'm gonna go back to the crib. I'll FaceTime you. Like, So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God we're not in COVID anymore.
Thank God. I don't even want to think about going back there. That's
That was interesting time.
oh
Interesting.
Yeah.
man,
But yeah, I definitely think sometimes, like we've touched on throughout, it is the factor of, especially of like ambition, especially if you're an ambitious person. Sometimes when you have to go for something, it lights a fire in you, like, oh yeah, but not in like a creepy or bad way, but like in a way that's just like, no, like, why not? Let
Yeah,
me
I'm
let me
great.
go for this thing. I'm
Yeah,
great. um
I'm
and
good for
so,
that.
huh?
I'm good for that. You give me 30, I'll close the gap, and that's not it. I don't want to be closing the gap. Like I need you need to hit me with 50, and I'm gonna give you 50.
And
Yeah.
that's growth. That's growth. And I think what you speak to so eloquently is also accepting yourself in a different season, because right now you might not want to be you put your cape up, as you said. And maybe a month from now, maybe 2 months from now, it might change for you. But I think what's the most uh, valuable thing we learned here tonight is that you at least have that self awareness to be able to say, okay, this is how I'm moving in this season, and this is how I'm not going to move, and these are the things I'm not going to accept, and these
Yeah.
are the things that I want, um, and these are the questions that I'm going to ask.
Oh, I see the
So
signs. I'm already out. I'd be like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
peace.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
exactly,
It's a good space to be in, though. I do think that I was never very clear in the past what I needed, and now I know what I needed, so I can move much
Yeah,
different. So,
yeah. We have so much more to talk about, I feel like, but I am so grateful for this conversation tonight. I feel like I learned so much, and I knew I would, especially from you, Chris. I mean, I always learn from you, Keith, but
that's okay. I understand. Look, I understand. I learned something
I
today
sent
too,
an
so it's all gravy.
unsolicited email to her, like, oh, here's my opinion about these things.
I love it.
yeah, it
Love
was
that.
it was such a lovely and generous thing to do, and it meant the world to me, especially like after like months of like not months, literally years of editing and like taking things out and we took an entire scene out. There's like a 20-minute scene of a whole nother girl that's, we had to uh redo the arc of the film, and there were so many hard decisions that we needed to make, living with this, and finally delivering it to an audience, and for that takeaway to land the way it did was like, okay, we did our job, because that's what we were aiming for. We wanted people to be able to see themselves, but also be able to be self-investigative and maybe ask themselves some questions. And it's really just an offering for healing, hopefully. And I don't know. I just am super grateful to have this conversation with you guys tonight, and to continue the dialogue about how we can just be better for one another and towards one another.
Absolutely.
Amen.
So thank you guys tonight, everybody who joined us. Nani, hi, I haven't seen you in so long. Teacher lady, everybody who, Sammy, everybody who commented in the chat. A Story About You is going to be screening again in Miami a week from tomorrow, the 29th at the O Cinema at 2:30 p.m. Oh, you can also follow us, obviously, A Story About You Instagram on our website. You can certainly sign up if you want more information on where we're going to be screening next. Keith, Chris, we have one more on Sunday. We'll be actually talking with Shannon, all the girls, and now finally we'll be talking with Shannon on Sunday. So I'm so excited for that.
Keith, we should
Um,
crash. We should just like accept
I
his
might
yeah,
invitation.
I might have to
no,
add you in. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to add you for real.
yeah, no. Honestly, I would seriously love that because I mean, it's right now it's just gonna be me, Keith, and Shannon. And there's room for one more in this party. So if you're free, if you're around, come in, and I will most certainly accept you into this
Please,
conversation.
please share Keith's number with me after this.
Oh, most certainly, most
Yeah.
For
certainly.
sure.
I'll connect us all on email.
Okay, wonderful.
That's a bet.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
All
All right,
right.
guys.
Bye.
Peace.
All right, peace.